Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, your journey, our passion, and by Dow Automotive Systems, improving durability and increasing design flexibility with Betamate structural adhesives at dowbetamate.com.
Heavy truck sales point to a glorious future. Formula E launches this weekend, and Visteon is about to go through major surgery. But now the news. China is on a crusade to counter what it says is a consumer ripoff. It claims that foreign automakers are overcharging for their replacement parts. A number of car makers began slashing those prices, but too little, too late. The AP reports that China just slapped Audi with a fine of over $40 million. Chrysler was hit with a $5 million fine, and we think this is just the tip of the iceberg. Last week, auto supplier Federal Mogul announced it's splitting into two companies, and now Visteon is thinking about doing the same thing. Visteon, as you'll remember, used to be the in-house parts-making operations at Ford, which Ford then spun off to become an independent company in the year 2000. Bloomberg reports that half of Visteon would focus on electronics, the other half would focus on climate controls. Visteon's board believes it can provide more value to shareholders by splitting the company into two, and I'll have more to say about this later in the show. Despite uncertainties in some circles about the true strength of the American economy, sales of heavy-duty trucks are soaring. Last month, sales of Class 7 semis came in at just over 5,000 units, a whoppingly big 26% increase compared to last year. Class 8 trucks, the biggest semis, were up a staggering 33%, with sales topping 19,500 units. Economists consider heavy-duty truck sales to be a 6-month leading indicator of where the economy is headed, and if that holds true, happy days are here again. Hey, for all you eager race fans, the all-electric Formula E racing series starts this Saturday. The race is in Beijing and will be broadcast on the Fox Sports 1 channel here in the U.S. live at 3:30 in the morning Eastern Time, but will also be replayed on Sunday at 1 p.m. What we really want to see are the pit stops. Each driver has to switch to a second car because obviously the batteries just don't have the juice to do an entire race. We also wonder if whisper quiet race cars will really appeal to racing fans. Coming up next, it's time for You Said It. Plus, we've got the Hellcat coming to the studio tonight and everything you wanted to know about 3D printing in the automotive industry. Back after this.
There's so much to love about Bridgestone's Dueler tires. The amazing traction, the quiet, comfortable ride, and they're really tough. It's like loving 3 tires in one.
Before we get into some of your comments and questions, we've got a great Autoline After Hours tonight. We have Russ Rudiswelli, the VLE and head of engineering at SRT, who also happens to be bringing the Dodge Challenger Hellcat with him tonight. Here's your chance to hear firsthand how they did that car from the guy who ran the program. And then on Autoline This Week, which will be posted on our website this afternoon, we've got a great show on 3D printing and how the automotive industry is using it. Did you know that Joe Gibbs Racing in NASCAR is heavily into 3D? Believe me, if you want to learn a lot about 3D printing, you will not want to miss that show. Okay, and now it's time for some of your feedback. Mike says, John, I sure would like to know a lot more about the Federal Mogul split up. This sort of sounds like it could be their version of a Delphi Visteon. Let's get rid of the low margin stuff and focus on products that earn money type of thing. Well, Mike, I think you nailed it. Plus, by selling off the low margin stuff, that gives those suppliers the cash they need to invest in the core businesses that they plan to keep. As you heard earlier in the show, now Visteon is going to split into two. I think we're going to see a lot more consolidation, mergers, and acquisitions, and when the dust clears, we're going to see fewer but bigger suppliers left standing. Warren G. Webb has a question from the latest Autoline Garage on how nickel copper brake lines are easy to work with and will never rust. Sean, where can I get NICOP lines? I asked my local Napa store and got the deer in the headlamps look. Well, we thought it was available at most auto parts stores. Sean called Advanced Auto Parts when doing research for the story, and the guy we talked to had no idea what we were talking about, but they had it in stock. We had to describe what we were looking for, so maybe you just need to talk to the right person. DH heard us report that the green car segment in the U.S. is shrinking, but he says, what's the big deal? 2,000 fewer hybrids for 1 month doesn't seem like a big deal to me. What matters is the annual sales, which continue to climb. Well, no, they don't. They do not continue to climb. Total hybrid sales in the U.S. market are down nearly 30,000 vehicles so far this year. They're down 8%, while the overall market is up 5%. And that's why we did this story, because the popular perception is that hybrids are selling strong. By the way, nobody else is reporting this, and I think that's why so many of you watch Autoline. We give you the news and the viewpoints you're not going to get anywhere else. Ramon Rivera heard our report on the Acura TLX and wants to know, does Acura have its own engineers? Yeah, they do, Ramon. But this is a recent development. Acura is being given a lot more independence from Mother Honda, and I bet that translates into much better Acuras. Brett is kind of amazed at why luxury brands are adding so much sophisticated technology in their cars. I don't think the average driver is sophisticated enough to appreciate the superlatives in engineering of the luxury brands. Their metrics are the amenities, the ride, and ambient noise. Brett, you're right. Most luxury drivers have no idea of what's under the hood or holding up the chassis. But sometimes you need very sophisticated technology to achieve a beautiful ride and a whisper-quiet cabin. And when it comes to the luxury segment, bragging rights and street cred count for a lot. And if a car does not have all the bells and whistles, some buyers will decide it's not worthy of their consideration. Hey, thanks for all your letters and comments. We truly like going through them all. But anyway, that wraps up today's show. Thanks for watching, and please join us again tomorrow.